How you getting on? So, another little update. Lots of blood and guts and all over mess. Um, so lots kind of happened since. So I've stripped off the intake manifold and the pipework here for the injectors. That was just so I could get this kind of closed up and safe. The studs, I spoke kind of too soon when I said that they were coming loose for me, because they were. I felt like they were all coming loose and everything like that. Now I did forget one. See this double here? I thought that this was, let's say, maybe a location screw, as in just one on the top, but actually there was one underneath here, which obviously I wasn't getting WD-40, but also I just didn't realise that it was there, and I was trying here with a rubber mallet trying to get it to come off. But anyway, then I lifted the car up and I found it then. But that's all that. The EGR, I presume this is the EGR feed here, is on that last stud. It's a bit of a pain. And also the oil feed down here was a bit of a bugger to get at, because you can't get the full length spanner fouls on the bell housing. I don't think you're seeing it too clearly there, but it basically fouls on the bell housing, which means you never get a kind of a nice plumb level sitting on it, on that screw, because it has to be an open end box, or that nut. It has to be an open end box, so you can't really get it nice and plumb. So you have to use one of these really stubby ones. And what I found was, if I use a stubby one and I give it a little tap with the mallet, I was able to work it that it would come loose. That's the oil feed for the top of the turbo. So that is, do I have it here? I do have it there. This one here. So if you can imagine, now I'll do my best recreation here. That's sitting like that on top of the turbo. That one's handy to get at. This one down here, you have a bit of an issue trying to get at it. I found that I have like a half size spanner. It was perfect to get in at it. Size 17, I'm going to say. Can't quite remember. So that's all fine and dandy. I took out the studs. We have all them. The studs came out with it on these, and then we have lovely half size. Did you know that Mercedes installed it a half size? No, I'm only kidding. These are that was a terrible joke, but that basically is the first one here. So it's lovely at the right edge, like, and everything. Not it couldn't have been like a couple in here where you might have been able to get away with it. No, it has to be that one there. So I think I will invest in a kind of reverse drill set. Whatever, kind of cheap one. It doesn't need to or maybe I can just get a good quality and the right size. I don't know. I find drill bits, if they're cheap, they're really bad. But anyway, so I'll get a drill bit to reverse thread that, and hopefully it'll come out. It's literally right there. It's not too far in, but it felt like it was coming out right, and then it just came out that kind of size, snapped right at the stud. What else? Oh yes, so me being a totally Neanderthal, took the turbo out, left this pipe attached. Obviously that was unbolted from the block, and I got it just at the point, and then it snapped. Now if I had been more patient, more studious, a better spanner wielder, I would have taken those two out. Probably would have taken this off as well, but as I say, I'm a bit of a Neanderthal when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm not planning on running the EGR, so I wonder what I should do with this here. that little cap. Can I just cap it or something? I don't know. Because I'm presuming that that's what that is. That's the EGR coming over to the intake here. And maybe I'm entirely wrong. So somebody might chime in and let me know on that, but that's what I think it is. There was two other things that occurred to me while I was doing this. So one was this has the oil cooler. All right. Now I had intended on using the W124 OM606 oil filter housing that I have there, and I sort of said to myself, that would work out nicely, it'd fit in, because I think people are having issues fouling on these. Maybe that's not an issue for W124s. If it's not an issue, I'll just run this and I'll run my oil cooler pipework off that. If it is, I'm going to have an issue trying to figure out how to get an oil cooler into the system. I'm sure I can take a feed from somewhere else. Again, I'm not certain, but I imagine a little bit of research will solve that one. Then the other thing is, having never removed an engine before, I still have some of the connections, obviously, look, as you can see, to do. I've got this side fairly cleared out, aside from down underneath. But again, like this, I have this side to do. I can make things a little bit more easy for myself. But where are people attaching the chains to when they're lifting these? Like I had thought to myself, I could maybe put my chains through here, leave the actual engine mount attached, and either bolt it through here, or actually, because you can space, just thinking here now while we're talking, there's space there in between. There's also a couple of threads just here, but that's kind of forward of center. I'm trying to, my thought on it is that you need to get as far back to center as possible so you can take the box out at the same time. A little bit forward of it, you'll get more of a tilt, which might be handy. Although with this cross member being bolted in, that's fairly good. And the same here, I can probably bolt it in along with at the mount here, and then simply unbolt the mount from the body here and start pulling away basically. Look, there's probably 101 things I don't realise I don't know even yet. Such is the way we're learning, but yeah, I'm going to leave the pump on, presumably, and everything else looks to be cleared off enough. Obviously, take some of these hoses out just to make my life easier. There's a hose feeding into this system here, which I presume is the pump for, that's the pump for the central, or the heating inside the car. So if I can just take that off there. Disconnect the alternator, disconnect the starter from underneath. I have to disconnect also I'm going to take off the transmission cooling lines or oil lines, and I'm just going to take them off for safeness, or just make things a little bit cleaner for when it's actually coming out. And really at that stage, I think we've got everything out of the way for removing it. So yeah, what I really want to know is from you guys, if anybody can tell me, first of all, where to mount, because I've never taken off an engine before, so please don't laugh at me. I just don't know where exactly to mount. I have a new engine crane just there in the background. You'll just see it in between the lift and that, and it has a leveler on it, so I should be able to get a nice little level going on. And then also about that oil filter. Do I use that one, the W210 one, or do I use the W124 OM606 one, which I even think it'll probably plug in maybe better to the oil sensor, as in I might be able to just maintain the one that's in the M103, because the engine might be actually very similar. So if I go over here and have a quick look down there, well, actually no, it's a lot different, but maybe the sensor plug-in is the same, I don't know. Yeah, blood, guts, everything, big mess. Really kind of peeved off at myself about that one. So I am. This car was everywhere you look on it. Like I had a tap on the that corner there, but everywhere you look on this car, it is. It's just kind of, kind of bodgy a little bit bodgy on every kind of everything you look at. Like there was like a little tiny in this cross member here, right? One bolt on that side, one bolt, and a little tech screw that I didn't even bother unscrewing. I just ripped it out. It is somebody's had to go with it anyway. But I'm really irritated by that. That one really annoyed me because I'm going to probably find it hard to replace it, short of actually calling up Mercedes and paying whatever extortionate pricing they come up with for something like that. And what else? Yeah, that's it, guys. Need to know about that oil filter. Need to know about the mounting. The removing of the engine is more key actually at this stage. I want to leave the gearbox attached, and I want to leave the gearbox, or actually, I want to take the gearbox off this engine before removing it. Both of which I'm sure come with a myriad of issues. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Any help you can give me, that would be brilliant. Again, don't laugh at me. Never done this before. I appreciate you looking. Thanks. Bye.